Oh, well, hello there, YouTube. Welcome to Ye Old Pipe Doc. This is going to be the first in the series of the restoration of our little Grungy Medico. See, I told you I had a thing for oddball hats. I'd never wear this thing anywhere, but I thought, yeah, YouTube's good enough. A little topper on. I'll probably shed it, but what the hell. Anyway, we're going to start out with this little guy. And this is that little Medico I showed you that we picked up at the antique store. And I got a really bright halogen light here. Now you can see that cake. Okay. And all that gunk. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to tamp this pipe I'm smoking. And I am smoking this little pipe here. It's a silver banded Royal House Bulldog. This was an antique shop find. When I got it, it had some kind of a janky home repaired stem on it. I used a molded vulcanite stem, fitted it to the pipe, came out alright. I don't know anything about the brand. It was it just stamped Royal House, sterling. It does appear to have some hallmarks, but I haven't looked in to see what the hallmarks are. I really don't think it even has a country of origin on it. I want to say England, but I wouldn't swear to it, so I'm not going to say. In it, I am smoking some Deep Elm, courtesy of Alex Birdman. If you haven't checked out his channel, check it out. Birdman 5691. Wealth of knowledge, good guy. Anyway, back to the point of this video. I told you I'd restore just the nastiest of the nasty pipe I could find. And this today, unfortunately, was it. I've seen much nastier. In fact, I've got a GBD that I did last year that was actually worse than this. But you can see it's got quite a bit of cake in it. So the first thing we're going to have to do to bring this guy back to life is we're going to have to cut that cake out of there. That's going to be the first step of exorcising the old ghosts. To do that, you need a pipe reamer, obviously. There's several types on the market. I've got 4 of them here, and I like all of these. This is just a little cheap Italian-made, I think it's, yeah, stamped Italy, and Adjustomatic. And you know, small bowl, you put it in there and you scrape, and you know, as you push in, it flares out to meet the bowl and cut the cake. You can get these for $4 or $5 in most little brick and mortars. I'm sure Pipes and Cigars or Smoking Pipes has got something similar. I will say when I got it, it didn't cut very well, so you notice the edge is kind of shiny there. I hit that with a ribbon sander and just kind of sharpened up this edge so it actually cut. Cheap option, they work well. You got to be careful you don't nick the rim with those. But it's a good, inexpensive little reamer, easy to come by, and if you lose it, you're not out anything. The next one I've got here is actually a promotional. I've got no idea how old it is. I picked it up many years ago at a flea market, and it's, as you can see, it's Sir Walter Raleigh. I would imagine this was a premium that either came with a pouch of tobacco, or you know, you send in your proof of purchase and $2.50 for shipping or whatever it was back then, you know, and they send it to you. What you've got the two blades here, and they're spring loaded, and you just you squeeze those things down, stick them into the bowl, and cut the cake that way. Works really well. It's actually one of my favorites. It's built pretty solid. It appears to be a cast brass barrel with steel blades, and I use this one quite a bit. So those are the, those are the typical, the run-of-the-mill kind of everyday reamers that you're going to find in your brick and mortar antique shop, flea markets, wherever. They're a dime a dozen. The Sir Walter Raleigh actually is a little bit better than that Italian job, and that's the only one I've seen like that, but I'm sure if I found one, there's hundreds or thousands more of them out there. The next one is a modern version of the old clean ream, the senior pipe reamer. This guy's a little more substantial, probably the most substantial one that I've got. You see it's got 3 blades. It's got a little adjustment here. You turn this in, and it's got a little cam there in the middle that as you screw it in, it spreads those cutters out for different sized bowls. Very, very aggressive. You can cut any cake away with this. The thing you got to watch is you can cut away wood almost as easy as the cake. This thing is really robust, and if you're not careful, you can ruin a good pipe with it. Now I will say, this is the modern version, like I said, of the clean ream. I unfortunately don't have a clean ream, but they are actually quite a bit nicer. This has an aluminum body with steel blades, and if you look, you notice right here, the angle on that blade has a pretty pronounced break to it. The clean reams, the original, this is essentially a Chinese copy of the American-made clean ream. The old clean reams had a much more rounded profile to it, and in my opinion they fit the bowls a lot better. So if you can find a clean ream in an antique shop or on eBay, I would recommend that you pick it up over one of these seniors. It's basically the same thing, but you're going to get a better quality tool for about the same money. These things go for about $30, and you can find an old clean ream for about the same price. And back here in the little knob, you've also got too much glare, I apologize. But you've got this drill bit, okay? And this is what this is for. Is if you get those old pipes where the shank is just all gunked up and you can't get a pipe cleaner through it, that's what this is for. You run that in there by hand and open that draft hole back up. And you can see right there. Get some contrast, maybe. There you go. I'll put my finger up there behind it. But you see right there in the end, that little spot, well, that's an eye, and if there's a hole through there, you can thread a pipe cleaner through that little hole and run it up in there and clean it out too. If you've got a pretty, if you've got a good sized draft hole, you can do that, or you can put it in there and run this right up in the flutes and dip it in alcohol and use that as a more aggressive cleaning for your pipe after you get it opened up. Anyway, that's the senior, and like I say, I'd recommend the clean ream over this if you can find it. If not, this will work well, just use caution. And then the last one I've got here is made by Castleford. I picked this up at Uptowns down in Nashville when I was there in September, and you can see there it's $17.95, good price, well worth the money. That $17.95 is about as cheap as I've ever seen them. They usually go for about $20, I think. But what you've got here is you've got a series of cutters. It's not adjustable like the other 3 that I showed you. What you've got is you've got 4 different size cutters, and these are, I believe they're fiberglass reinforced plastic with steel blades inserted, and you've got different sizes. This is the smallest one, and it goes all the way up to this guy here. So what you do with this is you take the plastic T-handle, and that guy goes in there, and then you stick it in there and cut your cake. Again, you got to be careful because these steel blades will also cut the wood of the pipe. But what I've noticed is you don't run as much chance of nicking the rim as you do with some of these others. So, those are some options that are out there, and it's a matter of personal preference and budget constraint. This will work really well, especially if you sharpen it up, but again, you got to be careful you don't nick the rim with these blades. And the other 2, they're a little more expensive, they'll last a lifetime. I don't think you'll ever break one of them. But so anyway, that's that. Let's take a look at this pipe again. So you see I've got a bunch of rim build up, and I got a bunch of cake. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can find a reamer that'll fit in there. And right now that littlest one from the Castleford almost fits. I don't know if this will go small enough. That one will get in there. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this guy, and I'm going to run it down in there, and we'll see about cutting some of this cake out. So, take a look at the blades. They've got a preferred direction of rotation. You want to stick it in here and turn clockwise, and oops, just use a gentle pressure and turn that dude in there, and you see the cake starting to fall out. I've got a towel down here on the bench, so I'm going to pause you for a minute because we're running up to 11 minutes, and I want to keep this to 15 at the most so you guys don't lose interest. So I'm going to go ahead and ream this. I'll be right back. Okay, I've reamed a good portion of this cake out with that smallest Castleford reamer here, this little Castleford here. Now, I want you to listen. You hear that squeak? That squeak? Because I generally take that to mean that I've found bare wood. When you hear that squeak, you want to stop, okay? That way you don't change the shape of the bowl. And look down in there. I probably can't see it terribly well, but I've got a good bit of that cake cleaned out. I'll pick you guys up. Don't get dizzy on me here. But, oh, there we go. You see, we've still got quite a bit to go in there. Sorry about that. My goodness. Fire the camera guy. Anyway, I've still got a lot of cake to go, so I am going to go ahead and pause you guys again so I don't make you dizzy moving you around, and I'm going to see about getting the rest of this cake reamed out. So don't go away, I'll be right back. Alright guys, you see by my dirty digits here that I've been doing something. Now I'm going to move you again right down here. See that pile of blackness? That used to be the cake in this pipe. So as you can see, I've gotten quite a bit of carbon out of there. And now, I used a combination of all 4 of those reamers I showed you. So I'm going to bring you around here, and I'm going to try to not make you guys dizzy with the motion. And get some light over here so that you can see down in that bowl. Okay, you can see there. You see there's some, I'm down to bare wood, but there's actually some charred wood in there, and I think that's what we're seeing now. You see the pits back in there. And again, this is a pretty inexpensive pipe. There's probably still just a little bit of carbon there, but I'm not going to take it down any farther than that. But you saw what it looked like before, and now I get my finger all the way to the bottom of that bowl. Now, this is a small pipe, you know, I can't, ring finger won't go all the way down, but anyway, that's that. And there you can almost, man, I wish I could get this light better for you guys, but there you go. You see down there we got, see the inside of the bowl a little bit better there. Okay, so we've got all our cake reamed out. That's the first step. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to scrape some of this rim char off. And again, I want to caution you guys to be careful, because if you're not, you can destroy the pipe. But what I like to do is I like to use a pocket knife, and this happens to be a little Italian liverletto that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to gently scrape right here across, just like this. Now, I'm not using much pressure. I'm just lightly scraping, blade angled away from me, dragging it across that crust, and that's as far as I'm taking it with the knife. And you can see now, you know, we've got those big chunks of char off of there. And again, I apologize for this light the next video is going to have better lighting, I promise. But you know, I've got that rim char off of there, and we're ready for the next step, which is it involves a little bit of a solvent. So I'm going to stop this video here, and I'm going to bring on what are we up to now? Part 3, 4, whatever. I'll label these as I post them. So I'm going to stop the video here, and we'll see you in just a few.